Almost time. What's up, everyone? I hope everybody is having a fantastic Sunday. Hey, Squee, what's up, man? Actually had a pretty good day today. Oh, it's not right. Where's this at? Over there. What? Sorry, it's over here. Hang on. Gotta move this. I haven't quite figured out where in the new desk layout the green screen actually needs to go. Yeah, that's good enough. I'll mess with it later, but at least it's not a giant gaping hole down there in the corner. Yeah, man, had a pretty good Sunday today. Did some stuff around the house. Checked in on my parents, and had my brother and all of his kids come over, and a friend and her son, and they just ran amok through the whole house. It was a very busy day in the household. So, but other than that, I mean, it was pretty good. It was a little bit of a feeling of an incomplete day, and by that I mean, you know, this is something that kind of comes up every time we have like family get-togethers. And I finally put a word to it. There's a persistent feeling of incompleteness. So ever since losing Elijah, it's like, hey, there's this, yeah, everything's kind of back to normal, but there's a piece missing from the norm, right? So, and it usually doesn't happen until like the event is over, something. So everybody just left. I was like, hey guys, I gotta get the kids to bed. I gotta start the stream up a little bit. So we wrapped up, kicked everybody out, and then I was like, there was like, and actually really it's not, it hits at the end, but it's this persistent feeling like you have through the whole day. Like there's something missing that should be happening. So it's just one of those things that I don't think is ever going to go away, but it's still going to kind of be. Just gets a little bit easier to handle over time. So, but yeah, that was about it. Hung out with family, did a little bit of work in the yard, and had a good day. Let's see here. Oh, that's right. Look at this pre-validation loop issue in the file. Because what we were talking about last night was we've got information that isn't being acted upon as we come through. So what I'm thinking about doing is I want to add a pre-validation loop in here. Actually, I think what we can do, I was thinking about, there's a way I would want to do some kind of conditional branch down to from recon agent to validator. See, hey, by the way, the information we've got about this host already, can we act upon it? So let me go double check something in the recon validator real quick, because what it should be doing is acting on the data that's in the task already. So recon agent, I gotta think about how I'm gonna restructure this as this workflow happens. Because from memory, what should happen is the recon agent says, okay, cool, we're gonna figure out what tool to call. We're gonna send that to the tool node. It's gonna output that format and slap it into the task itself. So the task will have output, but also we need to, I think, work a little bit on how it's gonna handle that integration with actually storing it in the host section of the state table. Take a look. See, so after our tool node fires, it goes to the output. So we find out what tool. Let's see. Use our output format prompt. It's in the tool output. We get the response. That becomes our output here. So we initialize a new target host. Oh, that's right. What we were looking at was, hey, we need to actually go merge this information with what's already in the host, section here. So this guy right here. So there's two pieces that we want in. Right, I'm going to move this up a bit. Up. That's what I was afraid it was going to do, because it's because of the way it references it from top down. So we have to define the port first for it to be used in the section. But that's all right. It's just a mild annoyance. Let's see. What's up, nerd? Hey, Cypher. What's up, man? Happy Sunday. Think about this. So what I'm going to want is, by the way, after the stream was over, because I was getting ready to commit all this up to GitHub, what I decided to do is I took the changes from the recon agent, I ported them over to the enum agent, so we should have additional logging messages coming from the recon, from the enumeration agent as well. Let's see. So what we do is we just append this over to the target host. Back, we have our output. We append the output to the current task. So we do format this correctly. What might be the better option is if we do a lookup against this. And one thing we found out last night, just double checking, doing a couple of quick nmap scans, is if we come up here, right? Notice how there's no version associated with this. This was a very basic nmap scan, right? Just told us what ports were open. Cool. So what we can check is we can say, hey, by the way, if the version over here is not filled in, then that's the main thing we could actually kind of go through. Hey, Cole, what's up? I published my research paper soon, so I'm pretty excited. Nice, man. What's the research topic? Think about this. So I'm trying to think about the other tools that are going to be coming through with this. So, for example, after we run GoBuster, it should be the ports here. So what we want to do is format that accordingly. Actually, hold on. Let me look at something. The output formatter, the standard output format has target IP address, host name, which I think we ran that through last time. Let me go double check the last trace we did. Here we go. So the last full trace that we ran through, once we hit the recon agent here, and we hit the output form, we still had our nmap, our GoBuster, and our standard output format. So we took out the GoBuster because it essentially matched what was already in the standard output format. So we didn't really need one for GoBuster, but for other tools in the future, we might want to have more explicit designations for this. Back to my old uni, since it's the end of the school year there's a ton of school events going on. Essentially, I put up QR codes, have a long-ass user agreement. It's our scroll-wrapped agreement they agree to. When they agree to it, it'll redirect them to their destination. However, we get their browser fingerprint. Oh, nice. So this wasn't a serious research paper. It's just been a while since I got in contact with some old professors to make it happen. Oh, very cool. So essentially, doing a little bit of research on fingerprinting what the students are all using. Like how many people are likely to scan those QR codes. See, this was from nmap. That was nmap service enumeration. All right, so here was our GoBuster output. And I believe this one is probably say, hey, we used the GoBuster output, which was, it had a target IP address, host name, and output. If I remember correctly, that also matched our standard. Actually, I take that back. This was before we changed it, because it doesn't have the port field in. a little bit different. So essentially social engineering with QR codes, so easily make it more malicious. But why would I? Oh, dude, there's dang, what was his library called? One of the local guys at DHA put out some stuff for that on doing malicious QR codes. If I could remember it. Hang on, I'll message it real quick and see if he remembers it. QR codes could definitely be used for more malicious uses than that. Did you find a lot of people that agreed without reading the agreement? Yeah, but you could use this because I'm pretty sure he released a repo on how to generate those malicious codes. So what you could do is use that to say, hey, by the way, proof of impact from this, from people doing this, you could use libraries like, you can reference it and say, hey, this is an already made off-the-shelf tool for doing this kind of thing. Had about 150 scans and user agreements signed. Did you have anything fun in the user agreement? Like, by the way, you agree to like donate a blood sample on the 3rd full moon of every year. Because that'd be hilarious. All right, so unfortunately, I don't have the info that I wanted from this. We did put a little clause in that if they signed it, they forfeit their right to graduate. Oh. Nice. I love that. That's very trolly. Let's see. I work in policy a little, but not as much, so this gets me going. Yeah. I understand, man. Dude, having fun things like that buried in there is always hilarious. One of the things I always liked was, let's say, for example, on this page, if I pulled up the dev tools, there were a lot of sites that say, hey, by the way, you know, if you've pulled this up, you're probably, you know, fairly well equipped. Here's a link to our jobs board. Come work with us. And that was one of the things I always liked whenever I check websites. They like, did they put any interesting debug messages in? I'm trying to think about something here. So let's look at our states table here in the tasking system. Task answer is real simple. It is answering a question. We might expand this task section in here because what we need is, if we're going to be pulling information and we want to do it programmatically, right? We've got to have something we can key off of. So perhaps the take this out because I think I actually took out. No, actually, I did leave an enum. Yeah, we marked it as completed here. I'm going to take this out because we actually don't need the completed option anymore. We're not working to see if it was completed, just if it was validated. So it's still technically going to be working until it's validated. Leave that. We'll minimize this a little bit. How's this been going? I've enjoyed working with that. It's been a lot of fun, man. And one of the cool things is that I've noticed with working with the language models is by changing just some of these structures in here, we don't have to change a lot of the code. because it's referencing these structures whenever we're sending that data over to the language model. So we get a lot of power just by using this structured data approach with it. And like I said, one of the kind of, let's call it, I don't know, dirty hacks that we came up with is that whenever we want to format this code, we can bind tools to it. And that's our tool parsers here. Because if you look under the hood, what I realize is that whatever it's doing, there's two, let me back up a little bit. So whenever you define your language model interaction object in here, you essentially can bind tools to it to make tool calls. It's going to return some JSON. You use that JSON to make your tool call. But you can also do one where it's called bind or format with structured output. Where was that? Or with structured output is the function name. And if you look under the hood, what it's doing is it's just doing a tool call with a particular data structure. So we kind of cheated a bit, and that is we sent it and told it, hey, choose the tool call that you want. And by the way, here's the formats for the tool calls. And it's really our output parsers in the form of these pedantic models in here. So by doing that, we're able to come through and say, use a tool call to actually do structured data output to get it into our state table. So one thing I want to do is start working on actually having code in here to update the state table as new information comes about. So let's say, for example, we run like 2 or 3 different in-map scans. We don't want to say, okay, cool. Well, hey, we already got this piece of information from the in-map scan, so we don't want to overwrite it. Or, hey, this piece is missing, so let's insert it. And, oh, we got a ton of new scripting information, so let's go ahead and throw that in there as well. So what I'm thinking about doing is we need to work on that section, because what I want to do is over here in this loop, I do want to have something where the recon agent can immediately come down to the validator and say, hey, can you use this output to get it? So what happens during this loop is we assign it a task, it makes a tool call, we send that to the tool node to execute it on robo pages, then we send it to the output formatter. That output actually gets appended to the task itself. We're not making a lot of use of the host section of the state table, and we're just working on what happens in here. So let's say that tool doesn't give us the information we need. Okay, validator will then send it back up to recon agent to make another tool node call, and then send it down to the outputter. And when it does this, it just keeps appending that output to the task. So that's great, except the tasks are kind of individual isolated chunks of processing. What we want to do now is have, so when this data comes back, and maybe when it hits output formatter, it actually gets appended to that host section. It merges in the new data with the existing data in there and says, okay, cool. Now can we just take that host information, send it to the and send it up here? I think that's actually the better option. We don't have to change the flow of things here very much. What we could do is we could say if it is a new task, then what we're going to do is we're going to immediately send it down to the validator. And otherwise, what we'll do is, yeah, we could do that. If it's a new task, we send it down to validator, let it validate against the target. And then if it validates, then cool. Now we've got a validated task. We didn't have to do any scanning or anything. We're good to go. I love to see this used in CTF events one day, just to see how it does against harder, more complicated situations. So I don't know how it's going to do. And the reason for that is because a lot of CTFs are structured a bit like puzzles. They do have technical components to it, but a lot of them are very non-linearly thinking puzzle-based approaches to things. So, for example, finding an image and running steganography tooling against it to extract some piece of data. Okay, well, that data is in base 26. You got to convert that to base 53 for whatever reason. And then all of a sudden, magically, when it's in base 53, now it's in Morse code. You decode the Morse code. That gives you another base 64 string. And it goes on and on and on like that. So yeah, the question is, like, how would it be able to do that? So it wouldn't be able to do those kind of situations until we actually start backing out a little bit more of the restrictions on it. Yeah, but I'm talking about like some of the newer, or not really the newer, but like the more competitive CTFs. Like I'm thinking like the DEF CON CTF, right? Where it has to touch on many, many different technologies. Yeah, and that's where the human in the loop portion is going to come in here, where we could say, hey, by the way, um, in fact, maybe that's something we want to do in the future is add in what I'd call like an autonomous mode, where we tell it, here's the bare minimum amount of information, go through and try to hack and root this system. Cool, you could do that. Another option would be, hey, we want to do, let's call it like human interactive mode. And so in human interactive mode, it's going through and it's basically just acting like a chat agent, and we're telling it what task we want it to do. And we could even do a combination of the two, because when it's in autonomous mode, I expect it will get stuck and it won't know how to approach a problem. And then it will raise that up to the human, say, hey, by the way, here's what I'm seeing. I don't know where to proceed from here. What do? And then the human can say, it looks like you missed something in this area. Check for this. Okay, so we tell it, check for something. It then goes through the process of turning that into tasking, sending it to different agents, so on and so forth. Hey, no problem, man. Do what you gotta do. All right, let's see. So to make this work, I think what we're gonna need to do is, what I'm thinking about doing here is, first off, in the task area here, we do want to have this answer field in here, but I think we also want to add something else right here, which is going to be, what is our target, which would be the IP address. Which right now, what it's doing is we're getting that from the context, right? So Stinger has a context that it persists with, right? So if we come down to the Stinger state, we've got a context which is just a string in here. So one thing we could do is, I think for the individual tasks, because these should almost be like atomic tasks, right? They should be fairly standalone. One thing we might do is add in a target or an IP address into this. Because then if we say, okay, cool, this task is attacking this particular IP address, then we could then reference that in other places in our code, in here, and say, okay, cool, well, like for example, when we get back to the validator, when the first pass comes back from the recon agent, actually, or even just the validator, after the output formatter merges in that new information into the host with whatever tool we just ran, then recon validator could say, okay, cool, what task are we addressing? What's the IP address? Let me pull that host information out, and then we'll send that to the language. I think that might be maybe the better way to approach it. Let's see, status, we have our agent, we have our tool list, our output, which is that's our raw tool pool, our raw tool call output. Let's see, it's going to be the answer for the task. And I think I want to add one more. Call this call it target IP, and this is going to be a string, and this is going to be let me say this. This is the target host IP address. Let me look at something real quick, because I see this doc string in here. I actually don't know if LangGraph is using this doc string as part of it. But one of the cool things is, here if we look at the tracing, right? We come up here to our initializer. We look at task list. Hey, Dev, what's up, man? Oh, here we go. So we do have a description of what this output is supposed to do. Okay, cool. Oh, dude, you're up in Dallas right now? Oh, you're back from Dallas. Got you, man. Why didn't you let me know you was up here, bro? Why does it say the answered dictionary? Oh, because the answer is, I think I put this as optional. Yeah, I did put this as an optional task answer. And the task answer, yeah, that's right. That's what we up there for Holy Week. Forgot you were local. My bad. That's all right, man. Dude, we went to, my wife and I, we went over to, there's a national shrine in downtown Dallas called Our Lady of Guadalupe. I didn't know about this, and apparently it was just named a national shrine a couple of years ago. So my wife and I went and spent some time over there. That was a really good little endeavor. It's a pretty church, too. It's right in downtown Dallas. Let's see here. Single task entity agents to process. Let me add in some more information to this. So what we want to say is, what have we done? Gone for beers? Or just hang out, man. Find something to do. I got my APT game now. Could have played APT. Let me see here. Since this doc string is actually being used as part of the processing, what I want to do is modify this a bit. So this is a single task entity for new agents to process. Do is look at something real. If I kind of want to see how this is doing. Definitely next time, man. Let me know whenever you're going to be up here, and we'll get together. By the way, if anybody is traveling and you come visit Dallas, let me know. If I'm available, we'll get together and hang out. Especially if you come during like the first week of the month. Dallas Hackers Association is a great event to go to. It's the first Wednesday of every month. Look at something. Status is an email. Required are. So it says answer is required. How do I mark answer as like not required? Actually, I guess we do want all these to kind of be. So here's our prompter. We have answer. Oh wait, this is a sub action of this. Or target IP address. I guess these don't have individual descriptions to them. Actually, I take it back. Answer does have a description to it, and that's because answer is like the only optional one in here. The rest of these are. Where's output? Let's see how this is actually structured. So output is just saying it's a list of dictionaries, so it's just doing a blank list here. Okay. To do a co-event with the Dallas software developers. I didn't even know that was a group, but it doesn't surprise me. Dallas has so many tech meetups like that. And like I said, I really recommend those to folks because every IT job I have gotten pretty much has been by referral. Somebody has referred me to that position. See here. Oh, this is not the output. What I want here. Here we go. Here we go. Blow this up. All right, so this one is items just type object. So this one doesn't have a description to it, but I'm wondering if I could add a description. Like if I added a doc string, would it incorporate? I only use Mac to run Xcode. Don't blame me, man. Actually, I really like working on my Mac. I've never messed with Arch, though. Arch always seemed like it was just going to be a little bit too much of a headache. Output. So we're going to, let me drag this over so we got a little bit more working room. Let's see. Target IP address will probably be filled in from the initial scope, which we're going to give it from the context. So I think we can leave this as is for now. This is a single task entity for agents to process. I think we can actually just leave this as is, just add this target IP into this. I do want to rearrange this. Like, I'm putting this list in alphabetical, bugging me being out of alphabet. No, actually, I take the back. I don't want it. Just cleaning this up a little bit for appearance's sake. All right. So if we run this, we should in theory get a target IP address back. That should be no problem. There. So we get our target IP now. Whenever we hit the recon agent here, and we get to the validator. So what we can do actually down here in the recon agent is, if we've got this task and we know what the target IP address is, whenever we get ready to start processing this task, we can check and say, hey, by the way, is there a target IP? If there isn't, then let's go ahead and build. Windows is treating me like a threat actor. Man, not sponsored by Jocko yet. By the way, I apologize for starting the stream late, but like I was mentioning earlier, we had a lot of family over. We were having a great time. Meant getting the kids to bed a little bit late. I had to help Sock out with getting a few things done and taking care of her. And so stream started a few minutes late. We'll go a little bit late tonight. It's fine. I usually do try to start at like 8 o'clock Central promptly, but sometimes shit happens. All right, so after we go through this if-else loop, we do our tasking call here. We have our context, which our context is just the state context as it sits right now. So we will have to... We'll have to append this, actually. So if we make the context where it's going to take the state context and also it's going to take... Where is our context here? I think we need to make an update to the context. So this needs to be a list. And it can either be a string or a dictionary. Actually, I'll tell you what we could do here is we could actually say this is going to be a host entry in here. There we go. Because what we're going to do is we're going to check this task out. We're going to say, okay, cool. The task now has a target IP. So do we have an entry matching that host entry in the host field for Stinger? If we do, then we'll pull out that data and we'll append it to the context. Otherwise, if we don't, if we do not have that, then what we'll do is we'll take it and we'll initialize that host with basically just blank boilerplate, just an IP address, and we should be good. Let's see here. Actually, I think we can take this out because by the time context is used up here. So if it's a working task, we want to do the state context. Oh, and then we're taking the current task output. So what we'll do is that output is mostly there just for getting additional information. So yeah, what we're going to do is take all this so it's not using the output from the specific task per se, but then shifting it over to what's in the host. So one thing I'll need to do is I need to make a. I'm glad you like it, man. I blatantly stole it from Pirate Software, unironically from the name, from his game. What is it? Heartbound. I've got a new list of music I'm going to try to incorporate into the playlist. That's not all of the playlist. That's just the majority of it. It's probably 90%. But Moby actually just released something he calls Moby Gratis over here. It's Moby Gratis. And so this is free music from Moby that you can use, but it's not quite free. There's some difference. Like there's some they call restricted tracks. There's some they call like regular tracks in here. So I need to go through and investigate it a little bit more carefully. I was reading over the license the other day. And what was funny is he said you can't use any of these tracks if you're promoting like projects that have to do with like eating dairy or meat. Which I thought was really funny. And so I'm going to go through. I'm going to dig through this list and figure out like which tracks I could incorporate. I'll get those added to the playlist, and then eventually I will go put a song command in too. So if you want to know what the song is and where it came from, you can. But I will work on adding that maybe this week, hopefully soon. Let's see. How I want to do this. Rearrange this a little bit. All right, the output tool, and actually, no, it should be fine. Just the output and tool parameters should be blank for this query. So this is down in our initializer whenever we send the context. What this is an ad hoc addition to the context. So that way, when we send this first one in, we want to tell it, by the way, these two fields, don't address them. They should be blank. Actually, let me look at something real quick. So if we look at the task list here, actually, we do want to add one more, which is the answer section. Yeah, so we'll say the output and answer parameters should be blank for this. Make a quick note here. So this is let's see, ad hoc fix for initializing the first task from the user input. Yeah, let's put that in here. Take this out because we haven't needed. Same thing with this line. Take that one out. Okay, let's go look at the. What did I change in this one? That changed anything in? Changed into enum. Oh, line 114. Yeah, I don't need one. Take that back. Oh, we did take it out. Okay, cool. We didn't need to mark the task as completed because we're not using the completed state anymore. So, let's go back over this way. So what we could do is we could build the context up here. Actually, I take that back because we do need the context to be blank, but our stinger context is now basically a blank list in here. Actually, I take that back because we could always use the state context. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to pull this out. And rather than using the state context, we're going to make this use the context. Oh, that's not going to be good. Yeah, we want to change this because that's going to override it. What we want to do is we'll append. The current task. Expected type string or context. Oh, that's right. And the task output is a list. So, what to do? I'm going to do that. Python list to string. Oh, we just do a join. Yeah, let's do that. So what we'll do is we'll just throw a dot join on here, and we will join all the elements as a new line. Oh, I take that back. We need to this way. I got it backwards. I've got this all screwed up. That's right. We'll fix this. Do is say, hey, this is going to be a new line, and we're going to join that as this. There we go. Well, that's right. This was a list of dictionary. Because the output was a dictionary. Okay, we can do that. Let's see. Because there's basically you can JSONify a dictionary. Dict to string. Oh, you just cast it as a string. Okay. Easy peasy. There we go. Cool. So we set that at perfect. Head back out. Okay. Excellent. So now our context is appending just like this. This is going to be a pain once we actually have to go port this over to the enum agent, but it won't be so bad. All right, so we're fixing a little bit of our data structures because we've changed how the context works. It can be either a list of strings or hosts, which would be dictionary files or dictionary structures in here. Let's see, so we take output. In this case, we can take this line out because we've already set the context up here. Same thing with this one. In fact, actually, I take that back. There's something a little bit different. Our context. This is using the current task output. So that's not exactly what we want. What we want to do is actually, this could actually all just go away, come to think of it. Because what we can do is up here in the context, let's shift this down. So context is going to be the context state. Oh, I take that back. Actually, we will need to add this to this. So we're all going to have to do this append, but what we're going to do is we're not going to append the current task IP address. I'm going to take this out fast, put a placeholder. We want to get the current task, but the current task is now going to have an IP address value in this. So what we'll do is we'll take target IP. We'll call this the target IP. Because then what we want to append is going to be that target IP item in there. So this is going to come from a state. That's going to be host. And then from there, what we're going to grab is the target IP. Oh, I got a typo in it. Target IP. There we go. So now we pull out that target IP from the current task, and then we use that to actually find out, hey, what's the actual host in here? Because our host is a dictionary with a string matching, hey, by the way, it's going to be... oh, that's right. The host entry. I just realized that it goes by hostname and IP address. So what we probably want to do is back that out. Instead of using hostname and IP, which comes back from the output formatter here. I think that comes back from our nmap output. So that's our host name. Yeah. And I believe we just referenced that. Tool parsers has a couple references, but it's not showing up in here. That's no problem. I got to rework a lot of this code to make this work. It's what I get for taking a shortcut in the beginning. So let's walk through. So our recon agent comes through, gets all of our goodies, gets them set up. We set the context initially to, hey, what was the context we got from Stinger? Not such a bad deal. We pull out the target IP address. In fact, we can even bring this up one fast because we can reuse this little bit of code. So bring that up. So we're going to append what that host and target IP address. So down in the validators, we're going to have to address that. So we'll need to copy this real quick. Wait, I just realized I got that already. Because the task has all that information. Right, our task, have the target IP. Make this a little bit more explicit. Why is that not showing up right? Jarvis, what's up, man? Thanks for coming online. Happy Sunday. I hope you're having a great day. Let's take a look here. So we got that formatted here. Why is the task call, which comes into our task, That gives us our task right here. What is this showing up as? Yeah, this should show up as a task, and tasks have an IP address right here. Oh, I take it back. Yeah, I see why. Because this is the task call right here. I think actually what I would do is we're going to refactor that real fast. Because task call makes it look like it's not. So maybe we'll just call that task string. Let's call this the task string. There we go. Makes it a little bit more explicit. So because what we're getting is this specific string out of the task structure. Okay. So we do want that. We want to get the current task, current task IP address. Current task is set up here. Good there. And then down here is, so this one is if we handle tasks that are new or currently working. If we don't have any that are considered new or working, then we actually go hunt for them here. Which that should be the only ones that are in there. It's like the ones that are new. All right, so task status equals new. Will come down. There we go. It should only be those 3 states. Did I over-engineer this? Let me see. That's if it's a not validated task. If it's assigned to recon, it's not validated. Let's see. So we set it to working, and yeah, so I think what we can do here is on our context, before we actually send the context, we're going to have our variables kind of set here. I think we will actually need to set the context in just like this. This is the main thing that's going to kind of bust it a little bit. We do need to duplicate this down. Because basically what we're doing is the target IP, it's scoped to this if statement. So if we don't put it in here, our context is going to get a little jacked up. So we want to take this one. We're going to do the same thing down here. And then take the context and we'll put it into here as well. Oh, which we don't have the target IP, so we need that real quick. And so this isn't going to be current task. This. There we go. That should be fine. There we go. I don't know why it was throwing up an error there for a second. I guess it was still following the logic chain. Wait, no, hold on. Why is it saying that it doesn't like target IP? We expected a string. Got a literal new working enum post-x string. That's not. Because target IP should be the task, current task. So we iterate over those tasks. We check if the agent was equal to recon. If so, take the target IP address. It's interesting. Why is it saying it can be one of these values? It should be a string. Yeah, so we pull up the task. This value right here, that becomes our task string. Our target IP becomes the task target IP. And for some reason, it's not expecting. I know this should work. I'm just trying to figure out why the IDE is throwing a bitch fit about it. Hey, by the way, Colt, if you want to see the playlist for this, do I think it's exclamation point music in the chat, and it will tell you what it is. This totally should be a string. Because what we're doing is we're enumerating the state lists of tasks right here. So that's this. That's a list of these task structures here. The task structure has a task as a string and a target IP address as a string. So I'm going to ignore that because I'm pretty sure this is... We'll find out whenever we run it. All right. Run through. We get all this going. We append all the host data to it. All right. The next thing we're going to do is on the output formatter. So when we take our output here, we append that to the current task. Next thing we'll do is we're going to need a host merging option. So I think what I'm going to do is over in utils, we're going to add that. Let's make us a new Python. And what are we going to call this? Call this host merge, I think. Oh, it's got a typo in it. Dang it. Yeah, there's also another list of tracks from Red Siege. That's annoying. See that fixed. There you go. Now the links are actually correct there, Squee. They were correct, they were just off by one. Let's see. I'm gonna call this. I guess we're gonna call this call it host merge. All right, so what we want to do is this is basically going to expose like one function in here, which is going to be, hey, we're going to take the host structure from one file and from another, we're going to stick them together. So let's look at our host data here. Basically, the host format uses these two classes. And the last thing for the ports is a dictionary to this. Actually, I tell you what, there's one other thing I want to do, which is before we add this here. Yeah, so here is actually where we did a format string for the target host IP. We can literally just take this out. We don't have to format string this. We can just do it by IP address. So if worst case scenario, if we want to find something by host name, we can go through and we can iterate over that and come find it. Gives an error on the lip. I tried to hit that the other day and it seemed to throw an error as well. What's wrong with it? Maybe they took it off the site? Actually, here, I'll link you this. They have an entire playlist for it. Hack the planet. What's up, man? There's a playlist for it right there over on YouTube of a bunch of their playlists, or their songs. I don't have the entire volumes, the volume 1 and 2. I've got the individual songs in there. I'll have to go mess with it and figure out what it's doing. Because that used to be the legit site to go do it. Alright, let's see. So now, whenever we commit this over there, we're not using the host name, we're just using the IP address. So worst comes to worst, if we need to do something by host name,
Hey, Mulgars, what's up, man? Dude, we're working on a little AI hacking bot in LangGraph and having a good time with it. And what we're doing is we're restructuring this a little bit. So what should happen is essentially we plug it into a CTF like try hack me or hack the box, and it starts executing a workflow like so. So we have the initial, we're gonna have other agents, but for now we have a reconnaissance and an enumeration agent. And it basically goes through and builds a list of tasks to execute, sends them to their respective agents to go through their workflows. But one thing we've noticed is we've got lots of data that can be used to solve those tasks, but currently the way the workflow happens is we're only using the data in the individual task, so we don't really have good data persistence. So we already have a section set up in the state table that gets passed to all these different agents, so they have like a common book of knowledge. And so it hasn't really been used properly. So I'm fixing it. We're going to add in how to actually use that host data to go through and try and solve these questions. So up here in the recon agent, instead of just blatantly making tool calls and potentially doing like overlapping scans, what we're going to do is we're going to check it and see, hey, by the way, could we answer this task before we do this? And so we'll go through and we'll check. We'll put in a little check here that says, hey, by the way, can I do this with what I've got? We'll send it down to the recon validator, and then we'll send it back up. And if it can't answer it, then we'll go down the rest of the chain here. Is the goal for an agentic solution to solve challenges automagically? Pretty much, yeah. And I love that you use the term automagically because it is one of my favorite terms. Yeah, essentially there will be eventually over here. This user input is stub code right now just to bootstrap it, but there will be a human in the loop aspect. Eventually, once I get around to building a user interface for it, we'll be able to see what it's executing and why, let it go through the chain. And then if it runs into a roadblock, it will essentially bubble it up to the user and say, hey, what do now? And the user can provide guidance like, try using this tool in this way to check it. Right now, it's just letting it basically, with some bootstrapped information and a contrived example on TryHackMe, run through and automatically do it. Once I get this last upgrade done to enumeration and recon, we're going to start adding in the exploit agent, which is going to be a little bit more painful. And some of those pain points that we looked at of how we're going to try to figure things out for the exploit agent is actually what made us go back and revisit the current two to fix them up. So we're doing some basically taking a few steps forward and then going back and building up a stronger foundation, taking us two steps forward, building the foundation, and basically going through this kind of iterative process of adding functionality as we've been needing it. Now we actually need that host tracking capability, so we're building it back in now. Right, so we go by a target IP address, we append out. Oh, that's right. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at host merge here. So what we're going to do is we need to import a couple things. I don't have experience with LangGraph though. LangGraph is actually not as hard as it's made out to be. The main thing to keep in mind with it when you start looking at it is the state table. Like for example, here's the state table for this one. All this is a typed dictionary, and it's just places I can go through and slap in data. So you can have a list of messages, which is like, hey, what did the human say? What did the language model say? And or what tool call was made? What was the output from the tooling? So you can have this nice list of messages, but also we've got other information like, hey, we've got a list of hosts stored as a dictionary, and that maps to a different data structure. We're going to have a list of tasks. We're going to have whatever our current task is in terms of an integer pointing to the list index. We have what we call the context, so we could take it and we could slap stuff into the context if we need to. And we could just go down the list this way. So LangGraph is not super difficult once you start getting it running. It's just getting it bootstrapped can be a little bit more troublesome. And they don't really make a great example of like, hey, this is what the state table is doing. It could also be just, hey, I'm not a great Python developer. Part of this project is for me to get better at writing code. Hacking on it, modifying it, doing stuff for it, that's no problem. But writing code from scratch is something I need to work on. So this is one of the goals of this project, is becoming a better just code developer. Seeing what works, what doesn't. I need to learn more about AI stuff in general. I have a big backlog of things I need to focus on. I'm just starting to learn Rust. Good. I'm glad you're learning Rust so I don't have to. Because Rust was a pain to try and modify. It's one of the few languages that I cannot comfortably go in and modify the code. I can see what it's doing, and I understand the general flow of it, but trying to decode the hieroglyphics of Rust and figure out what the heck it's doing on an individual piece spaces, I don't have enough experience to do that. Yeah, the syntax is wild for Rust. The syntax makes me want to bleed out of my eyes and makes me feel like I'm excavating some ancient Egyptian pharaoh's tomb and trying to figure out, was this the secret to immortality or was this a recipe for Egyptian cooking? What the heck is on the wall? It's like a mixture of 5 different languages with the syntax. Yeah, it is. Like you're mixing JavaScript, Python, Ruby, and C++. Yeah. And all those are languages I'm pretty familiar with and can read no problem. It's just, for some reason, Rust, it feels like the syntax was like, it took a gene splicer and it took all the pieces of syntax from all 5 of those and only kept the weird parts. Alright, let's see here. Let's do find host merge. Host merge, and this should be, we want to call this, let's see, we want to, I'm just going to call this host A, and that should be a dictionary, and then we're going to just call it host B. And that should also be a dictionary. And we need to import that. Okay. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Instead of being a dictionary, this should not be a dictionary. Let me back that out. This actually, we wanted to import the actual host structure here. So this is going to be a host. And this is going to be a host here. And we want to import that data structure. Okay. So what we'll do is, actually, I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this to source and destination. That makes it very clear because we're going to go from one to the other. Strimmer man, that's right, dude. What's funny is like even this profile over here in Chrome, it's its own profile for doing stuff on the stream. I literally named that profile in Chrome Pro Strimmer. Yes, I am Pro Strimmer. Okay, first thing let's do is, and then actually let me make one thing here. So what this should do is this should return a host value. Let's see. I need to stream sometime. Do it, man. The biggest thing I tell people is they get concerned like, hey, what am I going to talk about? And literally I use the camera as my rubber ducky when I'm working through stuff. And I did put a lot of effort into the streaming that I do, but I just go through and I explain what I'm doing. I talk to the camera, make love to the camera, and don't worry about like who's watching and who's not watching. Just talk to the camera. People will start coming in. I've been really trying hard not to stream games on the BlazeBits channel. I do have another one for like personal stuff, but some days like I really want to go stream a game, like I'm not feeling it. But once I get the studio lights turned on and I start getting after it, that feeling kind of goes away. I do like this code that I'm working on. This project is very fun for me. So that helps out a ton. If I was sitting there just banging my head against some random hack the box, yeah, I probably would just be like, I'm taking a night off. We're going to stream Warhammer or something. Dude, man, you've seen InfoSec streams, right? Over here. So if you want to, there's lots of folks on here that are constantly doing like all sorts of InfoSec stuff, especially if you're explaining it. Dude, yeah, it's great. I don't know if low level learning streams very much, but he's got a really great way, if you ever watch his videos, of explaining like exploit and research development. So if you wanted to, one thing I thought would be fun is I called it Pwned by Numbers, and it was a series of videos I was thinking about doing of, hey, let's look at some like CVEs that have come out, and then go through and redevelop the process of potentially like what could we have done to find this exploit in the past. So you're not doing new stuff. You don't have to worry about like accidentally, Ode dropping on the stream, but you could come through and say like, let's look at this and analyze it and figure out if I was starting from scratch, how could I figure out how this exploit worked and do it that way. I got your stream on while I'm working on other projects, so it's a good way for me to learn, learn a little while doing other things. And that's how pretty much I expected it to be. Was I expect folks to come in and do what I call idle watching. They've got the stream on, and they're enjoying it. They like the explanation. Something piques their interest. They task shift over to the stream. But mostly it's encouragement to, hey, keep working on your own projects and kicking ass. I was thinking maybe in-day exploits would be fun. I think so, man. When you get down to binary exploitation, you have to really explain well what you're doing, because that is one of the hardest things for the audience to follow. Let's see. All right, let's take a look here real quick. Let's do a sanity check fast. So, sanity check, do the IP addresses match? Nerd! Shut up, baby. I know it. Let's see here. So, let's just call this IP match. Let's see. And this is going to be if the source IP address is equal to the destination. What we'll do is we'll say, so we'll check if the IP addresses match just for shits and giggles. So if IP match, in fact, we'll say IP matches. I'm screwing this up. Let's see, so if the IPs match, then what we want to do is we want to check the host value. Let's see.
I'm back, baby.
Blocked, what is up, man? I have not seen your beautiful name in chat in forever, brother. How you been? I hope life has been treating you amazing, brother. Same for you, SM. You've been a little bit of AFK, but I'm happy to see you back, brother. Let's see. Let's check the source. So we want to check the source host name in here. Let's see. Actually, correction. We want to check the destination host. This thing shouldn't return a host. Oh, because I haven't done a return statement yet. Ah, that's fine. Okay. Oh, got a lot for finals going on right now, and oh, Glock said it's been busy week. Man, got a new job. Oh, nice, dude. What kind of work are you doing? And SM, I totally understand about finals week, man. I just disappeared into the ether whenever finals would come up. I've got an upcoming interview for a DevOps specialist apprenticeship. Oh, nice. Very nice. Dude, you start bringing a little bit of security considerations into that, ooh, they're gonna hate you. Just kidding. They might love you. Doing a SOC ops manager. Very nice, man. Dude, I appreciate everybody doing SOC work because it can be a pretty thankless job, but it is super important. Especially when you get assholes like me, like whenever I deploy exploits, especially stuff that has to do with scripting and it's going to be very clear text. If you just run something through like some kind of like complete smash everything to bits and nonsensical strings, like obfuscator for say PowerShell, yeah, cool. That's going to flag as malicious in a heartbeat. Instead, if I can break the script up, and what I like to do is I'll take that script and I'll bust it up into multiple variables. And then I give the variables very happy, good, valid, clean variable names. And so, and I will name each of those. The thinking being that you run that through some kind of AI model and it's looking at it, it's like, oh, it's just doing validation checks. This is no problem. While I'm sitting there dumping Kerberos tickets. Hey, Noom, what's up, man? Make the jump from DevOps to cybersecurity?
Do it.
Oh, so the SOC manager position's not what you wanted, but it's blue team is pretty chill. That's awesome, man. I appreciate all the blue team folks. All right, so Mogar's asked, so since you're working on an LLM solution, I'm curious to know your opinion on the AI explosion we were witnessing. Is it here to stay or a bubble, or do you think it'll affect jobs significantly, specifically tech jobs? It's... To put it into military terms, I'm looking at AI as more of like the M208 grenade launcher. So I was never in the military, but I do like military history and technology. And the grenade launcher by itself does not win a war. However, if you give that grenade launcher to a squad of grunts and they're sitting there, it's a force multiplier, right? You can just lob explosives down and drop enemies like it's nobody's business. I look at it the same way. AI is going to be a force multiplier in its current iteration. It is going to continue to get smarter. Especially like if you've got people building stuff like what I'm building. Right? Essentially, I joke that I'm coding myself out of a job, which is not true because there's just so much information in here that constantly changes. So the code base would have to be really purely agentic in the truest sense of, hey, you have very, very little code and you're just letting the AI run with its own devices as it's coming through. As far as tech jobs go, I actually think security in general, in terms of both blue team and red team, is actually going to get a big boon from a lot of the AI stuff, because people are vibe coding things into existence and not understanding how they're working, and also not necessarily taking security considerations into it. A lot of that code was trained off of stuff that's just out in the public, which is not necessarily secure code. It may be perfectly functional, but secure and functional don't always overlap. So as far as security is concerned, I think security is going to start actually getting a big bump up in that. Some of the other tech jobs, though, a lot of, as typically happens, lower level jobs are going to have to shift. People that didn't have to do a lot of thinking to get their job done, but you needed a human in that loop, they're going to get replaced. And I like to use the two examples in the past. One is there was an entire industry of people that their entire job was to scoop up horse poop. Horses were everywhere. Boom, bring in the automobile, an entire industry was wiped out. There's no more horse poop sweepers anymore. A more current example would be typewriters, right? The biggest typewriter company in the world went out of business because they didn't understand the change of things to the word processor or computers. So they got wiped out. But you notice that like everybody who works at that typewriter factory didn't just disappear and never have jobs again. All the people, sweeping horse poop didn't just disappear and never have jobs again. There will be new niches that appear for it. I don't know what they are yet, but there will be places for people to gainfully get employment where, in its current state, we can't automate stuff out of it. And in some cases, we want to have a human overviewing what's actually happening in there. So people do that. 90% of AV detects the Packer malware is in. Yeah, no joke, right? Oh, you're sitting for your OSEP, or you're starting the OSEP course next month. Nice. This article makes it seem like no. Yeah, I believe that too. I believe it is going to affect the tech industry in some ways. What I kind of foresee AI agent systems kind of going from here is what you see a lot of with like the Intel processors. So here, let me draw you a little diagram. So what happened to Intel was, let's look at a little graph here. Let's say this is our compute power, right? And this is our power consumption. So what did they do in the past? In the past here, Intel kind of took this approach, this linear graph. Just brute force more data into it. If you had some of the older Core i7s and you ever had that in a laptop sitting on your lap cooking your twig and berries, it was not fun. So what did they do? They started looking at, okay, cool, can we make the cores more dense and more efficient? So now you're getting more compute power or less. So it kind of looks like this a little bit. So yeah, you're sacrificing a little bit of compute power, and also, actually, I take this back. This is not a correct line. It would look more like this. We'll do this in blue. You're getting a lot more compute power, but it's kind of going a bit like this, right? You're not doing as much consumption. Actually, hold on. This graph is jacked up. Let me fix it real quick. My axes are swapped. This shouldn't be power consumption. This should be power consumption. So over here is how much power the processor was needing, and this was how much compute power you had, right? So they had a linear relationship to this. Instead, what happens is now that they've got these more efficient cores, it tends to go a bit more like this. So until you get really high up here and you're really pegging out those cores, you're not using as much compute power. Most people tend to hang out around this area anyway. They don't really peg out their cores a ton, unless you're doing stuff like what we do. AI, I believe, is going to go down this same path. They're just trying to brute force and brute force and brute force more power by throwing bigger, better hardware at it. Eventually, you're going to hit a bottleneck where you can't really do that. And it's going to start going down this line right here. And really, I look at AI as eventually doing this number where the power kind of comes up, but then the compute power just keeps increasing like this. So we're going to hit this point where we start doing more efficiency. Those AI models are going to get more efficient. They're going to get a little bit smarter. You're going to start seeing things happen where they're able to squeeze more compute and more logic processing out of those models, and similar to the way that DeepSeek did. The way I also look at it is back whenever there were muscle cars, they just kept cramming bigger and bigger engines into the muscle cars. Eventually they realized, hey, by the way, if we don't necessarily need a bigger engine, if we make it more efficient and get as much power out of the cubic inches or liters of displacement that we've got, we could do that. In fact, I think that's a better analogy, right? You know, if you're making 1,000 horsepower, but you're doing it in 4-liter engine versus a 5-liter engine, that's a lot better. You're hitting it a lot higher there. AI isn't going to change much, but if you don't use it, you'll fall far behind. That's true. And in fact, one of the things I'm doing, and this was a conscious effort, is as I'm learning this code, I've used AI for exactly one part, and I did not use the AI code for that. I used it to framework how to build the code, and then I wrote it all myself. The rest of this has all been stuff that I have written and thought about and designed, because I'm trying to understand the development process better. And if I just let one of these AI systems do it for me, I'm not going to build my own neural circuitry to handle that. And that's not what I want. I still want to be self-sufficient. And then if I go bring in AI tooling, it's kind of like going from, it's basically kind of like putting in the super soldier serum, right? I'm just injecting it and I've instantly become more of what I was. And in fact, I think that's a really great way to think about it. So going back to Marvel Comics, the super soldier serum that Captain America got, they had to pick somebody very carefully to handle that, because it wasn't going to perfect the person, just make them what they were.
A virus has been detected.
Hey, Tyler, what's up, man?
Smarter virus detected in the network.
At Smarter Virus. Gotta type cookie. Cookie. Counterpoint, Tyler. Hack smarter and harder. Actually, you know what? You just reminded me of something. So I was listening to a thing about homeschooling earlier today, Tyler, and you just reminded me It was talking about the story of the tortoise and the hare, and the problem that you run across a lot with public schools is everybody has like one set pace, right? And the talented students who are the hares, right, they get ahead, but then they basically give up because the rest of the class that may be tortoises are so far behind them. And the tortoises just basically set the pace as you go forward with it. At the same time, having that kind of persistence of moving forward and not giving up and having that perseverance is very important, and you can do that in that kind of setting. So you just reminded me of that. It was something I was listening to earlier today. But anyway, Raiders, what's up? My name is Blaze. I have been a professional felon, hacker, bad guy for 7 years now. I've been in IT for 15 years, and we're working on building something to hopefully crush Tyler's Hack the Box score. Hold on, let me find it. Working on a little AI agent system that's going to come through, and basically we can give it some pieces of information, and it will play Hack the Box and try hack me for us and solve them. So we're testing it right now. It is very much early stages, but we're having a lot of fun with it. And in fact, right now we're getting ready to do a little bit more data processing for it so it can keep track of what's happening. Yeah. Once this gets good, my Hack the Box score will be over 9,000. So, oh, by the way, Algo, thanks for coming online, man. Didn't want to miss that. We were just having a discussion like where we think AI is going with the tech industry, jobs, things like that. And it's going to be, like what I was saying was, I feel like AI is going to be kind of like the super soldier serum that Captain America got. It's going to make you more of what you are. If you are a crap coder because you have not taken the time to understand and develop your own personal ability in writing code, and you're just vibe coding everything, it's going to make you more of a crap coder. If you are an awesome developer, like say Primogen, he was going through it, he was essentially vibe coding with that using Cursor. It worked really well, and he was able to put out a ton of stuff, basically build an entire game in 1 week. So it's going to, AI is going to be like a force multiplier. It's going to help you become more of what you currently are. And that's the way it should be. However, this was not the AI dystopia I envisioned. I envisioned the AI folding my laundry and mowing my lawn, not making Studio Ghibli's for me. Let's see. Check this. What we're going to do is... I know there's a more efficient way to do this. What I want to do is I want to check the destination object's hostname, and if it's blank, we check it. What is the syntax for that? Let's see. Python set variable from condition. There we go. I want iRobot or Bicentennial Man. That's right. I do. I would love, dude, if I could have a home butler with Robin Williams' voice, I would buy that in a heartbeat. Ah, here we go. I want the ternary operator. So if condition, so we set the value if it's true, if this condition is set. Otherwise, we set it to whatever the fallback condition or the fallback value would be. So for this case, what we'd say is, we'd say destination host name equals source host name. If the, oh, how do I want to do this actually? I gotta look at this.
Shut up, baby. I know it.
What's up, Psyched? By the way, if any of y'all are For Honored, big old nerds, Psyched streams that and absolutely kills it on there. So if you are a big For Honored fan, go check him out. Heck, let's do shout out. Oh wait, I didn't give Tyler a shout out. You do that and then I'll give Psyched one. Yeah, I was watching him play, and I was like, I don't understand what's happening, but he's absolutely destroying people. Let's see. Yes, thank you, Ban. That is the syntax I was looking for. What I need to do, though, is... Actually, yeah, so I do want to look at... So this should be basically our updated data source. So let me put a docstring in here. Let's see. So this will... merges the source new host structure into the destination host. There we go. Okay, so we do want to do the destination here because we're taking in, I forgot, we're taking in actually 2 hosts right here. Then what we're doing is we're going to return what the new one is. Let's see. Actually, I think what we want to do is, I want to do this actually a little bit differently. I think what we'll do is we'll define a new host. Yeah, we'll define a new host in here. We'll check this, and then as long as the IP addresses match, then we'll go through and do this. So, because what we want to do is if the source is missing something that the destination has, then we want to use the destination value. Yeah, so let's do that real quick. Let's do, let's come up here. So what we'll do is we'll do new host is going to be host value, and we want to define the IP address is going to equal just a blank string to the host name. That's going to be a blank list. Oh, Syke, thanks for the resub, dude. Appreciate you, boo. Oh wait, let me get you the shout out too. Get this. Like I said, if you liked For Honored, go check him out. Yeah. Let's see. So we need a host name, and then we need ports, which is our blank dictionary. So we'll do ports is just going to be a blank dictionary. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put all these into this. So we'll do some checks here. We'll say, hey, by the way, does this... Actually, what we'll do is we'll check to see, does the destination have a value here? Yeah. Does the destination have a value? If the destination has a value... Hack the planet! I love that stuff. I've got a whole list, by the way, guys, of stuff I need to add to the soundboard. Band and a couple other guys were like, hey, by the way, you need this, you need this, you need this. I'm like, all right, fine. I put them on the list. I will try to get them up on the soundboard for y'all. But here's what I'm thinking. So basically what we're doing is, let's say, for example, what's the purpose of this function? Let's say we did 2 nmap scans, both against the same IP address. And the first one was just find the open ports. And the second one was, hey, we did like a version scan and we ran some NSE scripts. What we want to do is we want to take that second scan and merge it into the first one. That's what this is doing. So the source would be our new scan. The destination would be our like original host information. We want to merge those 2 together. So I'm trying to think about this. I think what I want to do is only certain pieces of information, like, well, obviously the IP address is going to be what's in here. So we'll just set the IP address if the IP address is, that'll be fine. Let me do that real quick. Hey, Bobby, what's up, man? Sorry I've been MIA, but love to see you progress at Hack the Bot. Thanks, man. Dude, I've been trying to keep to a pretty regular stream schedule. I think I am going to miss maybe one Tuesday night stream coming up because I'm going to be traveling for work. However, I'm going to see if I can do something special for that. I got to see if I can get my laptop set up. If I can, it will be a very basic stream. We'll pop on, and I'm going to try to basically have like 1 or 2 guys that I know that will be where I'm traveling to, see if they might want to come in and just do like an impromptu interview. We'll have a good time with it. If I can get that worked out, I will let y'all know in advance. Let's see. I don't know if there will be time for it. That's what I got to figure out. Yeah, I'm going to be up in Chicago the first full week of May. All right, let's do something like this. Let's do a new host IP address. Let's go ahead and set that. That's going to be, we'll just pick one. We'll do the source IP address. It's always the enemy, and I feel that. Oh, dude, I feel that every day here. All right, what I want to do, let me take this out. What I want to do next is... I don't want to take this out. I know it makes sense, but I just want to make this a little bit cleaner. All right, so if the two IP addresses match, we're good here. We'll go ahead and set our new host. And then what we'll do is we're going to check the... let's do, so for host name in the source host names. Let's see, we'll say if host name in, actually we'll say not in the destination host name. Destination host name. Then what we want to do is we want to just append to that. So what we'll do is we'll come over to, actually we could, there's an easier way to do this. We can merge and deduplicate the list. Let's see, Python list merge unique. We do a set of the two, and then we return the combined list as a list. Okay. Yeah, easy enough. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take for the host names, this is pretty simple, right? So this is assuming there could be multiple host names for an individual entry. Actually, let's just take that back out. So our new host name, what we'll do here is we're gonna say this is gonna be what's that? Yeah, so what we do is we use a set to combine it, and then we cast it as a list, and that's easy enough. So we'll cast that as a list, and that's going to be a set of the source host name. And did they just string concat that? They did. Plus the destination. There we go. We redo that space on the... Okay. Let's put a little note here. So this is going to be merge and unique host names. Boom, we got that. Okay. So host name, that one was easily done. The next one, IP address, that's good. Ports is going to be the actual tricky one. So what we want to do is then we actually have to go through and we got to check this whole list right here as we go through this. All right, so let's do the next thing here. We're going to merge and unique the host names, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start merging let's see. Yeah, actually, we'll do that. Merging port data. So first thing we'll do is we're going to check for uniques. So check for unique ports. And what we'll do is we're going to call this source unique ports. And what that's going to be is what we can do is we can just get a list of keys from here. Actually, so let's do this. Do source ports, and then we'll bust it out a little bit. So source ports is going to be, I think it's just keys. No, that's not it. Do source ports dot keys. Yeah, I believe that's it. And we'll do the same thing for destination. So we'll do destination ports. Same thing here. So we'll do destination. Grab the ports out of that. We'll grab the keys. And then what we'll do is we'll just basically do a couple of for loops in here. So what we'll do one to grab all the unique source ports and one for all. Somehow this song reminds me of Lord of the Rings. Actually, this one I can't hear very well. Seems like it's kind of low. By the way, if y'all notice anything off with the stream, let me know, because I did lift and shift this entire operation last week. That's why there was no Tuesday stream last week. And I think I've got everything wired up and back together well, but I know some of the levels might still be off. So if something's off, let me know so I can adjust it. Okay, so let's do this. Let's checking for unique. So what we'll do is let's just do this. We'll do ports unique, and what this is equal to I know there's a way to do this in Python. You can make this a turning operator as well. That's going to equal I remember how to do that too. Python find variable for for loop. There's a way to do this. Let's see. You can do it this way. There's also a way to do this as like a one-liner. So far, so good as far as the audio is set up. Awesome. I think the green screen is also working a little bit better because I can get the screen a little bit further back. There's not as much shadow being cast. I do have this little void. Where is it? Over here. Wait, the void's over here. There. Hang on. Try something real fast. I think that just about got it. Okay. Yeah, I haven't quite figured out where to put the green screen yet. Eventually, I'll get a better one, but the one I've got is on a portable stand, like on a tripod. Let's see. Not what I was looking for. I know there's a way to do this because actually in Robo Pages, they have this as an example. So if we look at like, I believe it was the rigging example in here. No, it wasn't rigging. Maybe it was the OpenAI example? Oh, here's what they did. They actually set it this way. And they had the for loop set here at the end. So probably not exactly how I want to do that. Not what I was remembering, but I made him disappear. Wait, he's back. That's right. I'm always watching. I do think the next thing I want to get is actually get a microphone arm so I can get this microphone a little bit closer and improve the audio a tiny bit. Let's see. So the unique ports is... I think this is going to be a list, right? Just return back as. Hang on, let me look at something. Keys should return a set like object provided for D keys. That doesn't tell me. I think if you get the keys from this, though, it returns a list of the keys. We'll do is we'll just make this a blank. And then we'll do the same thing. Destination ports, unique. We'll just initialize them real quick. And then we'll do a for loop to get it cleared up. So we'll say for Let's see. We'll have to do 2 of these loops to actually get this in here. I've got the microphone pretty well peaked out, but also I was worried about some background noise, so there is a little bit of like capping on the microphone as far as how far it peaks up and how far it has to initialize, like the floor value. And as I stop talking, you'll hear the background music actually get louder. Actually, let's do something. I'm trying to think how I want to approach this. Do I want to get all the unique ports? Actually, yes, I do want to do this. I want to get all the unique ports from the source and destination, cram them together, and then throw them into the new host. Let's see. So for port in source ports unique, port not in destination port. Actually, I don't think we even need this right here. Come to think of it. Yeah, actually, we don't even need that value, because what we can just do is say, hey, by the way, we come through and we check and see, hey, for the ports in the source ports, if the port's not in the destination ports, then what we do is that's going to be considered a unique port. So this is unique to source. So what we'll do is we'll do new host ports, and then we'll set this one equal to port, and this would be the source ports. And we'll grab that port value. So we set the new host basically equal to the same thing as the source. And then we can essentially copy this same structure right here. Down right here. So this would be destination port instead. This would be unique to destination. We just change this destination. Okay, cool. So this gives us a list of all the unique ports that are in here. Let's call this all port. So this is going to be a list here. So what we'll do is we'll do the same trick we just did. We'll cast this as a list, and we'll do the set of source ports plus destination ports. Yep, that'll work perfect. Why is it complaining about this? Oh, Clash Dictionary T does not define add operator. Oh, I thought keys came back as a list of options. Return a new view of a dictionary's key. Not what I was hoping for. Hey, Kleindoc, what's up, man? Audio mix sounds great. No worries about the background. You be you and go for it. All right, cool. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, psyched about the flashbang. That is my bad, man. Light, it burns! Alright, so what I want to do is combine these two. Try something. Let's just close that. What methods do we have in here? 46 EXE. What's up, man? Thanks for coming online. I love reading the usernames. They crack me up, man. Actually, I might just be able to cheese this a bit, and what we do is define that as a set, and then... Oh, wait, you can't add sets together? Oh, okay, hold on. Let me see. Let me check on that real quick. Python merge list of dictionary. Oh, so you have to do like a reduce operator. This. Not exactly. Join two lists of dictionaries on a single. Not what I. Let's see, merge sets. Okay, so you have two sets here. Oh, you do set 1 union with set 2. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 1, 2, 3, and then we have 3, 4, 5. So, oh, perfect. So if we union them, we should just get the unique values. So this method returns a new set containing all elements from the original set. It does not modify the original set. Using the update method, this method modifies the set it is called by adding the elements from another set. You can also use the pipe operator. Using pipe, this operator is shorthand for union method set return. Try this one right here. So if we did 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, we should just get 1, 2, 3, 4. So we get the unique set of that output. Gotcha. I figured it would. I figured that's what the case was, 46. But I get what they're doing here. Let's see. Okay, so all ports, actually, yeah. So what we could do is we can say this is going to be equal to source ports, and we'll do. Oh no, we got to cast that as a set. So we'll cast that as a set. We'll do source ports, and then we're going to union that with a set here, which will be destination ports. So this should get us a unique list of all, or basically a unique list of all the ports. Unique set of all. Actually, I'm going to say unique list of all ports. So I'm going to cast this as. Yeah. Do I need to cast that as a list? I'm going to do it anyway. So what are we making? Oh, so what we're working on right now, 46EXE, is we're working on a little AI hacking bot that's supposed to play Hack the Box and try hack me for us. So it's going through, it's using a framework called LangGraph, and it should run through and create for us this cool little AI LLM agentic workflow where it comes through and says, okay, cool, we're going to initialize everything. Stinger's going to look for stuff and pass it down to these various agents that we've got. These first two are very similar for recon and enumeration as they come through. I'm breaking them out because eventually there will be additional functionality added. This right here, Stinger is its own, what's called a graph. And so a graph is like a workflow unit, and you can call other graphs from within them. So recon and enumeration are what I'd call, in this case, first order graphs. So Stinger's the supervisor, and these are the various working agents. Eventually, things like reconnaissance, we might come through and we might add a new graph into this that says we're going to do open source intelligence. Or for enumeration, we might say, hey, by the way, we've got access to an Azure cloud environment. So we're going to start doing enumeration against Azure cloud. And we might have that set up as its own graph, or it can be called from it. And it can go through, we can have a completely isolated workflow. This is the very basic workflow where it says, hey, what's my task? What am I going to do? It makes some tool calls, runs nmap, GoBuster, whatever other tool we want to throw at it, and then goes through and tries to basically solve a task. And so right now it's very rudimentary. I've only been working on it for, I don't know. We've been working on it since February. So 2 months. I do this for about 6 to 9 hours a week. So you're talking anywhere from 48 to 54 hours of work on this. It's a very new project, but it's been a lot of fun to go through. All right, so we do all ports in here. Look at something else real quick. Let's see. Python delete from list. Oh, so you can literally just call remove against whatever the value is in there. So we just remove that item from the list, and then we'll have what's left is be the unit. So here's our list of all ports. What was I doing with this? I've lost my train of thought. Let me run through this again. So what we're doing is we're merging all of the various port data together. So for the ports in source port, if they're unique, this would be unique to source. This would be nation. It's only going to be for Hack the Box and Try Hack Me. For now, eventually it would be able to handle other CTFs, but I'm using the, what are they called? Basically like the free rooms on Try Hack Me. I'll use the retired boxes on Hack the Box because they have walkthroughs. I can sit there and I can validate what it's doing and which path it should go down. And once it gets a little bit more comfortable, then yeah, I'll actually start throwing it against some of the non-released ones just for fun. But I'd only planned on using it against some of those that were more this. Actually, eventually I do want to throw it against Game of Active Directory too. That will be a completely different setup because there's not much Active Directory exploitation available on either platform. But Game of Active Directory is 100% Active Directory exploitation. So then once we get to that, there will be new structures and new functionality we'll have to add to it. So for example, the recon agent will probably start having additional functionality that comes into it. Let's see. So for the second conditional check block, do you want if the port is not in source ports, or I might be reading that wrong? No. So what we're doing real quick is, so we're checking to see, hey, we're going to iterate over the source ports. So for each of those ports in the source port, if that port is not in the destination ports, right, which is this is the list of all the keys. The port structure is like this. The host structure is a dictionary matching what is essentially the IP address to that. So as we come through, we're going to check and see, hey, what's basically we're pulling that information out. We're getting a list of the keys. So we're going to have a list of wait, did I screw this up? Hang on, you got me questioning myself now. No, that's right. It does map to a port. For a second there, I was thinking it was something different. So, since this host entry has the IP address up here, these are all the ports on that host. And the string would be something like 22 TCP, or it'd be an integer, or something like that. One of the cool things I've kind of come to understand is, as we're sitting here modifying some of these data structures, we do have to go modify the code to match it, but a lot of times, making small changes in like how the data is structured here changes it over here. We don't have to do a ton of string matching, assuming the language model gives us back correct information, which we're trying to make it as concise and minor as possible so that it does give us back correct information. It doesn't have to process a huge amount in the context, so that hopefully we're getting smaller and more correct pieces of information. So we're trading off more language model calls to make them smaller and hopefully more precise. So what we've got here is we check all the ports against the list of source ports. If that port is not in the list of destination ports, then we know that, okay, that is something unique to the source object. So then what we do is we set that same value here from the source, because it was unique to it. So we're going to take all the uniques from the source and destination objects, put them into the new object. And so this one handles that for source. This one handles it for destination. So I think this part right here is fine. What we need now is we're going to find overlaps. So find overlaps of ports. So to find our overlaps, what we're going to do is all ports should be a unique list of the ports in here, right? So if we take out all the unique to the source, we take out all the unique to the destination, then only thing that's left in all ports is what's left in the source of the destination here. Were you able to dive into that one GitHub of that AI that someone made a while back? It's okay if you haven't, just what you did. Remind me which one that was, Psyched. Chances are I did not dig into it, but I'm trying to remember it, and if I probably forgot to bookmark it also. I'm wondering actually if I need this all ports right here. Oh, you know what? I just realized I need to run and do something. Give me 1 sec, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I needed to go help Sock with something real quick because she's still recovering from surgery. Let's see. So this is going to be a unique list of all ports right here. So if we have a unique list of all those ports, and then we delete out what was from... Now that doesn't necessarily preclude this. We might actually need this. What I'm thinking about doing is actually just going through in source ports to it. I'm going to change this a bit. I don't actually think I need this. I'm going to comment it out real quick. I'm going to cast this as a list right here because I'll be able to do something. this a list. We can still iterate over it. The rest of the code works fine. But now what we can do is from the source ports, actually, I do want to use this. However, I'm going to change it a little bit down here. What we're going to do is we're going to take this part out because these are no longer going to be sets in here. So let's rearrange this a bit. There we go. Yeah, so we do the set, we do source and destination, unique list of. Oop, wrong spot. Because what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to take source. And what was that function we can use? We can use the remove option. So source ports remove, and we're going to remove that port from here. And then same thing down here. We'll do destination ports. We'll remove that out. So what we're left with is after this runs, right? We find the unique list of everything into the, everything that's unique to the source ports, everything is unique to the destination ports, and then we're deleting those out. So then we're leaving the ones that overlap, right? That's what we want. We want the overlapping list. So now we've got. We'll call that our overlap port right here. So then we can just iterate over that. So for port and overlap port, what we should be able to do now is we can take those and we can then compare each of these items in here. The port integer and the protocol string, those should be set. We're not worried about that. Same thing with the state. We're not worried about that. The service, not worried about that. Really, it's the versions, the CPEs, and the scripts. So the version is going to be a real quick check on this. So what we'll do is the version is going to be blank if we haven't gotten versioning data, right? We saw that over here in here. So see how we're missing a column from this output right here? It's because we didn't do version checks in this scan, but we did on this one right here. So we can check the version value. We'll do a quick check real fast. Let's do, put in a note here. Let's see. So merging versions. Is this indent expected? I wanted to make an AI assistant for a bit, but I don't know where to start. There's a lot of really good tutorials on YouTube. N8N is one that looks really interesting. I have not messed with it. But you can use this to do workflow automations with a lot of stuff. So it looks really cool. So you can sit here and have it like, hey, we're going to send it to Anthropic. We're going to maybe put it over in Postgres. Check for a Microsoft Intra ID and pass stuff through here. So N8N, I think is actually how they pronounce it. That's a really cool framework for kind of building these out graphically. You've also got stuff like Crew AI. That's another one. It just depends on which way you're wanting to go with it. If you want to do, there's some that are kind of low code, no code. LangGraph was designed to originally be a low code, but the task we're giving it, doing offensive security, especially like offensive operations, is fairly technical and it requires a lot of interaction between it. So this is not a low code situation. It is a little bit easier to code because, like I said, by abstracting some of these things over into these data structures, I modify the data structure and then I know that everything that's referencing it, as long as it's not doing a string check or a regex or whatever, it should work. So like if I changed how some of these ports were functioning, as long as I come through and I'm making the proper comparisons, just by changing the data structure over here, it works. We'll make something like Jarvis from Iron Man. I would not be surprised if somebody has that already. I'm thinking about adding like an AI voice system to the UI once I get it. That is so far down the line though. And then I've got a funny idea for like what voice I'm going to use. Probably for like the base release, it would be something like Jarvis. But then later, I was gonna have it actually do something different. I don't want to spoil that yet. That's a plan for like maybe like a year or two down the line. Let's see. So if there's a port in overlap port, what I'm gonna do is let's think about this. So for versioning, what we want to check is if the version in the destination if the version's blank. So if destination ports for that port basically equals blank, then what we want to do is we want to grab the source port's port value. Actually, I take that. This should be a new host. That was not what I wanted. A new host. Is going to be source ports, which I think should work in here. Oh, actually, I take that back. This should be version. That should be the version. Unexpected type string. Oh, maybe I need to mess with that a little. Do a GLaDOS voice. Oh, that would be sweet. I can just mention GLaDOS right now.
We successfully captured the user flag.
Continuing to capture the root flag.
There will be cake.
See. Oh, I take it back. This should that's because I'm referencing the wrong object. So this should be destination port version. Oh yeah, duh. I'm filtering on the wrong keys here. So this would be now we're talking. Okay. Yeah, I forgot. We gotta. Oh, don't. There we go. And this should not be. Refactor this. Let's call this source host. This would be destination host. There we go. This would be not source, be source host. Yeah, now we're talking. Cake.exe. The term cake.exe is not recognizable as a commandlet, function, script, file, or executable. Check the spelling of that. Or if the path was included, verify the path is correct and try again. It'd be funny if it called cake.exe. Like, you told it to imitate GLaDOS. Alright, let's see. Alright, so this will work. So this would be merging versions. Say, merging versions, checking if blank. So if the destination host port version is blank, which think about, this is our old copy. Like I said, the example here said we did an nmap scan, and it came back saying, "Hey, we don't know what this is." Back with our new stuff. Let's see. You know what I just realized we could probably do? I just realized we could, instead of having to fight through all this coding logic, we literally could have the LLM actually do this for us as a call. I just realized. So what we could do is we could come through here, we could actually make this a language model call, and we just pass it the two host values, and then we tell it, hey, merge these two. This is the current version, this is the version updated with new scan information. And just make the fucking language model do it for us. And I apologize for dropping the F-bomb. I'm actually actively trying to cuss less, because I realized Honey Badger is picking up on it. And if you don't know, Honey Badger is my 3-year-old. Make the AI Scottish. Be funny. Yeah, as I'm sitting here thinking about this, because this is also assuming like, hey, I just realized something. As we sat there and we saw the language model execute, right? If we look at this trace down here, when we got over to this one, right? When we got down to enumeration and we told it to find out what version of Apache we're running, it chose to run HTTPX tech detect, which actually works fine. That's no problem. And it actually does go through and it detects out what we've got. It looks at it. This is information we want to go add to that port. I wonder if that would be the better way to do this. Yeah, Bobby, that's what I'm thinking. Like, was I overcomplicating this? And should we not just offload this to the language model? Damn it, I went through all this code and had a good time with it. Which I did. It was interesting, and I'm learning new things about Python, which was one of the primary objectives of this project. But at the same time, if I'm looking at how could I make this Python code work, plus also make use of the language model, we could do that. So what we do is we would give it the information. Let's look at the execution flow here. So if we look at the execution graph, right? Let's just look at Recon for now, because Recon it's basically our test bed, and we duplicate a lot of those changes over to enumeration because they're very, very similar agents for now. But if we look at this, what we could say is, hey, by the way, when we hit the Recon validator or the output formatter could basically just send it to a new node down here, and that says update host. And we send the new scan data. We send the current host that's associated with it. We send those two together and we say, hey, by the way, do a structured output of this kind. Here's the host data. Boop. And then we get it back. Okay, assuming you can feed it structured data and get that back reliably. So far, we have been able to, Bobby. In fact, we can send it unstructured data and get it back reliably. Well, I learned a lot from this code, but ultimately, this is all going in the shit pile. I'm sorry, I'm saying, ultimately, this is all going in the bit bucket. Hang on, let me do something real quick. You guys just reminded me of something. All right, here we go. Yeah, nope, I got one better for you, so you guys can keep me from being dumb. Cooldown on this will be, yeah, I gotta set a cooldown on that update. There we go. Yep, there we go, guys. So if you catch me saying naughty words, you can use the swear jar, and I actually will take that seriously. And actually, I haven't figured out if it's $1 per swear or what, but I will put that together and actually go donate that to charity. I didn't even go poop, Cypher. Come on, man. Oh, let's see. Nerd!
Shut up, baby. I know it.
All right. All of this is going away. Boop. So what we're going to do is... All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to take in a state table, and that's going to be a stinger state. But import that. Take out posts for now. This is going to return a stinger state. Actually, I'm gonna take it back. I don't want to return value for this because we could return structured data. Hey, Kamasa. All right, I'll donate to the effing charity. I don't know which one. My default one that I think about is St. Jude's Medical Hospital. So, I got another one in mind though, but once it hits like, if it hits like $50, then yes, I'll go do the donation. And then probably what I'll do is I'll go reset the value at that point. All right, let's see. Merges scan data into value. All right. So what we're going to need to do is get rid of some of these extra blank lines here. So what we're going to do, we need to import our config. I got to remember how I did this. Which is actually not terribly difficult, because what we can do is we actually set this up. Import this from utils configuration. Better get the swearing going then. No, this is supposed to be incentive not to do that. Actually, see something real quick if he's still on. So, everybody who came over from Tyler's stream, by the way, I was chatting with him. I'm going to try and come up with a fun event that I could get multiple like cybersecurity streamers on board with, so we could do a charity event. I don't know what to do though. I'm thinking about it. If you have any ideas where we could do this fun charity event, people could donate, and we could send this money over to a charity that I've got in mind, but I'm not saying it just yet because I'm still thinking about it. Let me know. Hit me up. You can message me on Discord. You can message me on Twitch. You can leave a comment on YouTube. But let me know, because I'm trying to come up with what I think would be a fun one. And before any of you degenerates mention a hot tub stream, I don't think I could pull that off, short of going to DEF CON, and I'm not going to DEF CON this year. Let's see. So we're going to have our LLM come in here. And actually what we're going to do is, I'm actually going to come back over to Stinger, because we're going to use this LLM a little bit differently. We're going to use it as initializer. This was what I was talking about, the difference of. Our LLM was structured output. This is essentially making a list call in the background. Do a sauna stream. First off, I don't know if any of y'all want to see my pasty. Like, I know I look a little bit tan right here because I do get a lot of outside sun time when we're doing the ATV stuff. But it stops there. There's your flashbang sight. I am about as pale as the surface of the sun underneath this shirt. Could also do only hackers. Oh, good lord. My eyes! Actually, yeah, this is what we could do right here. Let me grab this real quick. I'm going to essentially just duplicate what I've done over here. This is no. Oh, I see what the problem is. All right. So we don't need our task list prompt. What we need is only hackers could be quite profitable. No, you stop it. What we'll do is we'll copy this from the that's the task answer prompt, enum prompt. What was our task list? Get task list prompt. This one I think had a little bit better explanation. Okay. Let's take this out.
Caution. A virus has been detected.
Flaminscat virus detected in the network.
Blaming Scott virus. Type cookie. Type cookie. What's up, man? What were you working on tonight? It's the only way to stop the virus. See, check out what you were working on here. Oh, doing some Python, dude. That's what we're doing, man. I fully admit I kind of suck at Python. I have a ton of experience writing and modifying code and hacking on it, but I suck as a developer. So this project here, which everybody came in. What's up? My name's Blaze. I'm an offensive security guy. I've been doing penetration testing and red teaming for the last 7 years, having a blast with it. I've been in IT for like 15 years. And what we're doing is building a little hacking bot that uses language models and plays Try Hack Me and Hack the Box for us. So having a good time with it. I'm learning Python, aka 2D Dark Souls. It does feel like that. It do be like that sometimes, man. Follow real fast. Check out sometime. Let's see. By the way, Frozen, thank you for coming online, man. Appreciate that. So what we were doing here, by the way, is so this is essentially what we're working on. This fun little program that is using LangGraph, and what it will do is it will come through and actually we give it information about what we're trying to accomplish playing a Try Hack Me room. And it comes through and it passes it down to these AI agents. So currently there's only 2 and they are extremely similar. But there's one to do reconnaissance, there's one to do enumeration. These are basically frameworks so that when we later want to come in and add additional structure to them, we can. So that's going to be a lot of fun once we get to that. But one thing we notice is that we've got stuff in our master truth table, our state table we're not using. So we're making a concerted effort right now to start using that more. And I was writing out all this really cool Python code, and then I realized I could literally just send the new scan data and the host structure over to the language model and be like, merge this information in, and then return it. So, starting over from scratch on what I was just doing, nuked the entire stream's worth of work and rebuilding it now. So I learned C# and Java. I feel like Python is such a different vibe. Oh yeah. Well, because Python's not strongly typed, but one thing you can do is you can do typing hints. Like in this case, this is taking in a structure called a state, which is we defined as a stinger state over here. Stinger state is that truth table I was talking about that it passes around to everything in the every function that we define basically works off of the stinger state. So it gets a copy of the state table, we make modifications to it, and then we just return our updates to the table. So it's very cool whenever you're working on it like that. It makes it so that you kind of know exactly where you're doing everything. It's a little bit different, and it takes a little bit of getting used to and wrapping your head around. So that's awesome, man. So what's your goal with what are you wanting to accomplish with what you were working on? And last question, I promise, because I know you probably wrapped up your string. You got stuff you got to go do. I always like to check on the new folks that pop in, though. Let's see. This will be let me change this. This will be our merge host. Cybersecurity. I want to make the world a better place with ethical code and good business practice. Nice. Especially with a lot of vibe coders kind of making everything a little bit funky. Change this. So this is going to be our host prompt. Oh, Scott, thanks for coming online, man. I appreciate that. Dude, cybersecurity is my jam. I actually really suck at writing code, so that's part of the reason for this project. But I enjoy it, and so I'm trying to get better at it. Right? Reading and modifying code in most languages is no problem, save for Rust, because Rust is the devil. But what I'm doing right now is just basically using this as an example of what I want to get going with it. Good lord, Bobby. What was that? Just dropped 10 gifted subs. Oh, bro, thank you so much. Wait, what just happened again? Is it gonna... Hold on. Did they do it twice? Oh no, that was the hype train. Bobby started a level 3 hype train all by himself. Oh, thanks, Bobby. Appreciate it, man. I'm like, wait, what just happened? I was so confused for a second. Yeah, thanks, man. It's been, especially I appreciate that given everything that's been going on the last couple weeks. So, because I know you know the situation, so I appreciate you. Let me see here. So system template is, oh wait, I'm in the wrong window. I'm like sitting here trying to type. You are a data manager. Let's see, your primary, let's see, you are tasked with adding and merging new information from outputs into a host table. Into a host object. Actually, yeah, I think we can make this work. So what we want to do here is I'll leave the context for now. Let's take out some of the stuff. So member, actually, we can just rename this. Outputs. Let's do this. So this is a little trick, by the way, I picked up when working with some of these language models, and I don't know if I came up with it or I saw it somewhere, but notice how we're referencing this stuff as if it's almost like a variable, right? So this is our system prompt. So when you combine the system prompt and the user prompt, we come through, we get what is our overall execution. All that's missing is subbing to the Only Hackers to showcase his knowledge. That would be pretty funny, but it seems like most people want to go get like their own courses and stuff. I actually wanted to do a Cisco CCNA for hackers course, so it would be like going through the CCNA stuff and getting you prepared for that certification, but in addition, thinking about the security implications of each of those things alone. Peaches just sneezed on my leg and then ran out of the room. Little turd. It's my dog. For a data manager tasked with merging new information from tool outputs into a host object. Also, can't be missing out on that awesome beard. Dude, I pulled up a picture of like one of my streams from last year when I started, because I think I started around February, March last year, and the beard was so much shorter. It's gotten a lot longer this year. Do it because I'm trying to get my CCNA by the end of summer. Bro, I'm trying to work on it. I'm trying to figure out how I even want to do like the editing and the stuff for it. Actually, I'm going to go talk to my old CCNA professor and say, hey man, this is what I want to do, and put this material up, and like, what workbooks are you using? So I can tell people, by the way, this course is for this version of the certification. You want to have this workbook so you can work through these examples. And so I don't reference the book exactly because I don't want to get any kind of copyright strike and get on Cisco's bad side. But I could say, here's what you'd want to do, and here's an example of how you work through this problem as you're going through. And then here's how you actually do the stuff with it. One of the downsides also is I would need access to some kind of a Cisco lab, which I don't really have room for in here. This room is already really hot just with my computer. My NAS isn't even online, and my server. And this room is noticeably hotter than every other room in the house. Oh, remove parentheses, that's what's... Okay, fine, I will remove. Didn't want your stupid parentheses anyway. Alright, so this would be... We're going to change task here. Let's see. Let me change this real quick. So this is going to be... Finger edge of prompt templates, supervise the agents. Now this is going to be... Change this. Let's see. Data manager. We'll just call it the host merge. Host updates and merging template. And our inputs is going to be tool output. And what else? Not our context. Actually, I'm probably going to take the context out of there. We're just going to put the host in here. If this doesn't work the way I'm thinking, we can actually do something else with it. So let's take out the context, right? And what we'll do is task is going to change to tool output. Oh, I completely got sidetracked with what I was saying earlier. So notice how in the prompt here, you have two pieces to the prompt is basically all the input you send over to the language model. And it has two pieces to it, what's called the system prompt and the user prompt. So here on the system prompt, it can be a set of pre-processing instructions that's, hey, here's how you be helpful, don't do bad things, yada, yada. And then the user prompt would be, this is what the user sent during like a chat conversation with the language model. So you have those two combined together to make all the input to that language model. One thing I've noticed is if I do this kind of faux XML right here, it makes it so that it kind of binds this information that this information I want correctly to the instructions in the prompt. I don't know if I'm just pulling it out of thin air or this is completely extraneous, but it seems to be working. So I keep with this kind of pattern to it. And I don't know if it was something we found during messing with some of these things, but I like it. So this is what kind of helps keep the prompt template a little bit clean. So we'll stop in and say hi. I have to go study for discrete structures final. Hopefully I'll be here on Tuesday. Probably smash my computer. Have a good one. I hope not, man. And I hope to see you on Tuesday, man. Yeah, dude, get some rest because I know it's getting late. I'm running the stream a little bit late. Normally we'd be wrapping up right now, but I started the stream late because I had family over and it delayed bedtime for my kiddos. So they were so exhausted though. They were running around just wild pack of kids. I got 2 kids in my house. My brother has 3 kids, and then another friend came over with their son. So, we had 6 kids just running amok and doing nothing but controlled chaos. Let's see. I think it's complaining about a typo. Oh, probably because I want that to be host. There we go. Now we're talking. Yeah. What's up, man? Thanks for coming online. Happy Sunday, everyone, by the way. Let's see. Let me change this. This is not going to be our task prompt. It's going to be our merge. Actually, I think I want to call this something different. Yeah. I'm going to call this merge because we're not merging 2 pieces of information. I think I'm going to call this update host. Yeah, I know. I keep changing my mind. Update host prompt template. There we go. So then we'll take this. We're going to invoke on that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say this is going to be update host template. Yeah, so there's our template to it right there. Got this, and then what we need to add is we need a tool output. We need a host. And this will go away. Alright, so then we need to actually go get the information we want to update this to. So to do this, what we'll do... So our task values now, like when we're working on a task, what we can do is we can get the current task out of here. So we come over and look at Stinger states, which is our current task. Let's go ahead and get that. So we'll do... I like the little dancing dinosaur site. Let's see, because we can take the current task here. We can use that to get the task. Our tasks have all these nested structures, man. Eventually I'm going to have to diagram this out. But we do have a target IP address in the task here. I do like this song. This is probably one of my favorite songs in. Let's do state. Current task. So I'm just going to extract that out right now. So we'll get the current task from the state. And then what we'll do is... let's see. We'll say the... Actually, I'll tell you what, we'll just grab the task out of this. We'll just do this. So what we want to do is we want to grab the state task list. So we'll do tasks. And then we want to use this as an index value. So this will be our current task. So our current task is actually just an integer pointing to where in the list it is. So we go grab that. That gives us our current task. And then what we can do is we can say IP address is going to be to the current task. It's going to be our target IP. Because that's the key that we want to work off of to go get the information. Actually, let's just do this. Let's do say host data. That's going to be from the target IP. And then what we could do is just grab that directly out of the state table. So that's going to be in host. There you go. So that's our host data. So we get from the state table, we have our list of hosts. It says host name in here, but actually I'm going to take this out because it should just be IP address. There we go. That's the example of what the host key should be. So we get that. We got our target IP. That gives us our host data. And then we need our tool output. So now how do we structure that in the tool output? That's our raw tool, call out. Actually, that's not raw. If we go back over to recon, our output here. I've also seen brackets or curly braces surrounding dynamic placeholder vars in the system and user prompts. I feel like they're mostly interchangeable and the LLM just knows. There's probably a difference to some degree. Possibly. I think just adding that, though, thinking about how the language models work, helps break it up to tell it, hey, this is not something that typically comes next in a natural language processing kind of way. It kind of sets it apart, if you think about it, in the vector space of what's happening in that language model. If I had to take a swag, which is a scientific, wild, assuming guess. Thought I was going to cuss, didn't you? Yep. See, we come down here to this. Our output is... Oh, so it is just the raw output. Okay, which is fine, actually. Because, well, it'd say it's raw, but what's happening is we actually are output formatting it. So it's raw in the fact that we have this. So actually, let me change. This is not raw tool output. This is formatted tool call output. Let me actually make it up. There you go. That's our output formatted tool call output. So if we go back over to host mode, so our tool output is going to be, should be the last thing in there. Yeah, because that's a list, and then we append that output to it. Let me look at something. I don't know if we've got a copy of the state table in here. Actually, we might. Let's go look at the Langsmith trace. If we look at the Langsmith trace, we should have a decent idea about how this looks. Okay. Yeah, so our tool call, we had 1 here. So actually, yes, we can go get the -1 value of this from this output, because those this is all of our nmap data right here. Oh, that's because it got formatted. No, that's good though. It gets formatted. It's going to be structured data added to the list when we do that. Perfect. So if we come back here and we say, this is going to be our current task. So this would be current task. And what we want is the output. And we want the -1 value. So what was the last output? Get last. And we'll just, I know what that's doing. It's getting the last object. Get last tool output. Put this in. So then we take this and then bam, now we've got it. So our tool output is going to be just right here. Host data right here. And what we do is we do an LLM with structured output. The structured output here should be a host. So like this. So we make this a host, and we'll have to import that from states. And this is not going to be a task list prompt. We need to get the correct key. There. Let's see. Now the data comes back slightly different when you do with structured output versus with a tool call. And I got to remember how we did that. Let's see. Oh, it comes back as a raw object. So when we do this, like if we look at the Langsmith trace here, we go to the initializer. When it returns this, it literally just returns it like it structures the data for us. However, if we come down and we do like the data we get back from a recon tool node, it actually has structure to it. We have a role, we have a call ID if we pass it in here, we have content. All this comes back. So we had to actually like parse out args and things like that. Instead, if you look at Stinger, when we did it with structured output, we get our response back. We're directly iterating over the response task list in here. Because it came back like so. See, we have that task variable in here. So it comes back directly as like a dictionary. Perfect. Excellent. What we'll do is, for response, is going to be... What I want to do is... Got our response back. What we need to do is then go set that key in here. So what we'll do is we'll say state host, and then we pull out It's not liking that. Hey, Oreo, what's up, man? The cat type. That's exactly how I feel. Let's see. There we go. So now what's happening is we have this response value coming back. We set that here. If we wanted to, we could just set it directly. I think that's what I'll do. We'll just make that one giant line. Why? Because why not? And I'm sure I have messed this up in some way. What it should return is this host structure. What we sent it before was we sent it a task list. So this object is pretty much just a list of tasks, right? And then we iterated over tasks. Here we're actually just sending it something that doesn't have any real recursive to it except for what the ports are set up to. So one thing we might want to do is in prompts, actually, yeah, we need to do something. Let's do a couple little square brackets in here. And what we're going to do is primary key host is the IP address. Is it IP address? And I'm doing all right, dude. Had a pretty busy Sunday. Wasn't too bad. So the primary key for the host is the IP address. Host names. Let's make a note here. So we're making a note of like just what each of the fields does. So the host name list should only contain unique entries. And then what other instructions do we want? We'll say the port structure. Let me look at it. So on a host, Yeah. Essentially, the tool data should be appended into the porch structure. That's what we want. Got to get some sleep, but happy streaming. Oh, hey, no problem, Psych. Thanks for stopping by, man. By the way, guys, I mentioned this earlier, but if you were a big For Honored fan, go check out Psyched because he is pretty boss at it. He's and so I was watching him the other night, and I don't understand the game very well, but he was kicking ass in there and like just wrecking folks. So yeah, if you're a big For Honored fan, go check him out. I'm happy he comes in to stop by to learn cybersecurity stuff, and eventually, if I ever do a gaming stream, I'll let him go teach me like For Honored and just laugh at me for how horrendous I'm probably going to be at it. It'll be a good time. Let's see. The ports are going to be all structured in here. I'm trying to think if there's any other instructions I should say about it. What do you say? Tool output? Yeah. The outputs. Actually, that should be singular. Just gonna be one tool. Adjust this real quick. This will only be after each tool run. It would be this call right here. Okay, the tool output data should be extracted and used to update or fill in blank. Tool output data should be extracted and used to update or fill in a blank port. Oh, there we go. God, why did it scroll so? There we go. I think this actually might work here. Because now what we do is we would just return. So we're updating the host. That's great. We want to do one more thing here. What we do, we'll return a couple things. So last thing we need to do is we're updating a local copy of the state. We need to return the changes to the state table and kick them over. There's one special consideration with messages where it will just append to it. All the rest it will overwrite. So we got to make sure we get that correct on kind of what we want. So we're just updating the one host that we want to affect, so we can return the entire host key to it. So let's look at that. That's going to be a return value of, we want to return, so this is going to be host, I can't type, our host value, and that's going to come from our local copy of state hosts. And then one more we want to do is messages. We want to return. I think it's a list of messages. Hang on one second. Let me double check something over. Here we go. This is essentially what we want to use. I'm just going to copy this. We're going to call this host merge. Or actually, what do we call this? How do we call this host merge? Let's rename this. I think I gotta do it over. I'm gonna call this host up. I'll probably go through and rechange that name a little bit. Let's import that. Host update, and what we'll do is we're going to put a format string in here. Put some a little AI note in here. We'll say let's see, updated. Scan data from say tool. Or actually, yeah. Let's say updated host. Say is what variables do? No, we need to get the task IP. Bust it out. We can do it like this. Current task target IP. With scan data from. And then we just tell it what tool we had used in there, which would be our tool. That's our tool output there. Double check something. This doesn't tell us what we ran, but however, over here and look at the state table. For our task, we do have a tool list here. So instead is we go get that current task. So we do current task. And we get the tool value. And then we just get the last one here. Actually, didn't I extract that already? But that was our tool output. Our output. This is actually the tool list. So what this will do is in our message log, which we see over here in Langsmith, if I come over to Stinger, see how we got this list of messages right here? That's all right. Let me come down here to Stinger. I'm going to crop a bunch of these down. Messages. So if we expand this out, see we have like one human message, but then we have a bunch of AI and tool messages. So we're just making these like fake AI messages like they're coming back from the language model. And instead we're hitting them up and we're using those to track where things are going. This is our debug print essentially as it's coming through. So we see like Stinger agent says, hey, I'm passing to enum. Enum says, hey, I need to determine what services are running on port 22 on this IP, so I'm going to do stuff. We make a tool call. We say, okay, I'll analyze the nmap output format appropriately. Do that. So that's what we're doing with this message right here, is we're just sending it a list of new messages to a pin. Oh, this is going to be interesting. But what I need to do now is... So for this, after we run the output form. So after we do output format, then we want to actually add one more node where it's going to do this host update, and then we send it. Another option is over an output formatter, the way we structure this, it's designed to operate in the node. So what we do is we'd import that function, we define it as a node, we add it into the work. Solid. Gucci. So let's do that over here in Recon Agent Test. What we'll need to do is, before we go to the validator, actually, we don't even need to do that because we could just come down and add it directly to the graph here. So, let's see, there's a validator. There's our Recon output formatter. Let's see, so we added an edge from output formatter to validator. Okay, so this is actually going to be, call this host. And then we're going to add a node called, let's just do that. So here's our output formatter. We'll just add it right here. So what we'll do is, on our Recon workflow, we're going to add an edge. And this is going to go from our output formatter to our end node. We're going to call this host update. And then what we do is we say, then we add the node here. We don't have to add the edges first, but in my mind, it makes it easier to say like, okay, it's following an edge to a node. So if we look at it this way, we don't say, oh, I'm going start recon by this edge. No, we say, okay, from start, I'm following a hard edge to recon agent. Recon agent, I'm following a conditional edge to recon tool node. So writing it this way helps you kind of understand the flow a little bit better. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. I'm going from recon output formatter to the host updater. Well, what is host updater? That's the next node that just got defined. So we define this node, we call it host update. And then we give it what the function is going to be, which, what do we call that function? Call it host. And this we have to go import from utils. And now from host update, we're going to add another edge. So host up, we're going to add that to validator. Then validator comes in. So that's how we update this graph. So as we save it, we see it hot loads all those changes in. And then bam, now we have a new node right here, host update. Why it chooses one color for another for these, I have no idea, but works. So we didn't get to the actual logic that I wanted to do, which is, hey, in the recon agent, check and see what data we've got for the host and see if you can answer the task before coming in here. So there's going to be an initial conditional jump from recon agent to recon validator. And it's going to say, hey, take all the host info we've got. Can you answer the task before we start executing any tool? If we can't, we'll probably have, I don't know, some extraneous value for the task. Like, has it had a pre-flight check? If it has had the pre-flight check, then we pass it down the tool execution route. Otherwise, we send it to the validator. So I don't think I'll get to that tonight, but if this works right here, I'm so happy. See something. I think we can just run the recon agent with this data right here. Try this. Over to. In fact, yeah, we can. Oh, I just realized something here. We might not actually have that data. And the reason I say that is because if we look in the recon agent, I think when we come through the validator, do define a new one. Yep. That's what happens. Actually, we will need this because our host update is going to try and pull that host data. So we do need it. We do need the output formatter to kind of create this before it happens, and we set that up. Just go run it. We'll see what happens here. Key error for target IP recon agent. So this is in recon agent online. Oh, it's because I see. Our seed data, basically our kind of data down here, it did not have all the task data that it. So for our task, we had this, but we added, I forgot, we added one new field in here. Did not have it. So add that in. It should be target IP. Yep. So we're just going to add that in. That's going to be, in this case, it'll be 127.6.1. Because we should have gotten that information back whenever it initialized the task. Hey, Sin, what's up, man? If you're interested in networking, take a look at the best diagram I ever saw for the most deepest info kernel data paths. Hold on, let me take a look at that. Oh, good God. The kernel entry points, functions, function calls.
Where does this thing even start? I need a "you are here" for beginning this thing. I mean, well, I appreciate... Hold on, okay. So in-device polling routine, free SKB with DMA, async. That goes to the buffer. Oh yeah, sorry for this, the flashbang. Hang on one sec, guys. Alright, I'm back. Remember I told you, like, every minute past 11:30 increases the probability of wife aggro? I just had wife aggro. Like, hey, you need to go to... I was like, oh, yeah. Oh. Things aren't gonna hack themselves. Alright, let me try this. Go past. There we go. Wait, why did it go to recon handoff immediately? That's weird. Oh, I'm missing a comment here. That's why. Recon agent, help you find this. It's gonna go to... I'm gonna let this run for just a second because I just want to see, is it actually getting this data over into there properly. For ingress path, it's Nick RxQs and TX its user. Oh, okay. The update. It's going to output the data from the nmaps windows. It looked like it actually did it properly. We go up over to host update. Let's see. Updated host 127001 with scan data from nmap TCP port SYNSCAN. Nice. So if we view the state after this got done, it looks like it updated it properly. IP address host name. I think now we're thinking with agents. Cool. All right, so let me put that in the to-do list real fast, or what we did here. Okay. So this one actually had a subtask to this, which is already completed, which was update host data. And actually, this needs to happen, this revalidation loop. There you go. So we've done this one side by side. How does this render? There we go. That looks better. There we go. Okay, because that is what we want to do in here. No, that's not right. There we go. So we still need to add that pre-data validation loop in here.
to say, like, hey, go check the host data before we actually go execute this, and I think we'll be Gucci. All right, let's save this. Let's commit it. Let's figure out who to. What do we change in enum agent? Took out that one line. Host update the entire thing. We do need to our update for prompts. Basically, we added that additional system prompt. Recon agent now has an additional change to it. I do want to commit this. Well, but if I commit it, it's difficult to copy the changes. That's fine. Wouldn't commit. We changed some stuff in the states too. Did do that. Stinger agent. What am I in here? Oh, just and the to do. Okay. Let's see. Added merging. No to recon. Interface. So this will be up on GitHub for anybody who wants to play with the code. It's on the BlazeBits GitHub. Fixes. I can't type. I definitely do. Oh, all right. All those changes are up and live now. All right, let's go see who we've got online. I think the only person that was on InfoSec streams was Tyler. He rated us. We're the only ones that hang out here late at night. That is atrocious. Let's see who else we've got. See who's on. Over in Science and Tech. Let's see, Nerdduino's on. He's always doing fun space stuff. Okay. Keep Nerdduino as backup. Hypnotic's on, but I think just rated. The hacker stereotype is up all night, but maybe not the streaming ones. Yeah, I know, right? It makes me laugh because a bunch of the hackers that do stream, they always are streaming like during the middle of the day. Like, you are completely destroying the stereotypes. Retro Future Raycaster, no brain. It's Randy working. Sword Attack Juice. Seen his stream before. My stereotype is Ken Wood. By the way, if anybody has a raid suggestion, shout them out because I always take them. And by the way, the streams for all the new folks there, we usually do Saturdays and Sundays, and then I'll do typically a news stream on Tuesday. Those are on pause. I'm still streaming. We're just not doing the news. I will pick up the news after I get back from Chicago. Okay. Yeah, we'll go get this from him. Like he's doing fun stuff. Alright guys, unfortunately that is where I've got to wrap it up for tonight before the wife comes and ninja chops me in the back of the neck. Everyone, you'll have a fantastic week coming up. Tomorrow's Monday. Do not get a case of the Mondays. Get a case of the freaking crushing it's. Go destroy this week with prejudice in a good way. Get your stuff done. Knock it out. Don't worry about trying to bring work home. Get your tasks taken care of. Get your home life. Have it be home life. Get your work life. Be crushing it life. And enjoy that. Enjoy that delineation. Get that good balance going. And Cypher, I will catch you later, sir. That's all I've got for you guys. Oh, wait, hold on. I forgot one last thing. I love you. Peace.